It can be caused by redness of the jaw. It's already red and swollen. Bai Qingqing was busy explaining that it was not. And drooled a lot when she cried. We've rubbed it red. He cried for a long time without eating, drinking, or pulling. He4. Have you ever encountered an unin situation in the word? Harvey only gritted his teeth and said with difficulty, the newborn porcelain boy is too delicate. There are often unexplained premature deaths. If you keep crying like this, I'm afraid I can only resign myself to fate. Bai Qingqing's pupils suddenly dilated. I was shocked into a cold sweat. How can it be? Parker immediately stepped forward and asked anxiously, what does it mean to leave it to fate? Aren't you a veterinarian? Think of a way. Harvey looked back in embarrassment. Bestiology is limited in medical skills today. Many diseases depend on illness and thinness to fight by one's own body. Parker gritted his teeth. Understand the gravity of the situation. And still think so. How is he going to take the test? Seeing that Bai Qingqing was already crying, she couldn't cry. When Sanqing patted him on the back, comforting Dowan and will be fine. Bai Qingqing choked up and said, it's fine during the day. Why at night? Could it be because of the move? Let's move back. Maybe Anin agreed. We'll go back to the tree hole and he'll be fine. Parker shook his head disapprovingly. If it is confirmed. Anin had already cried. Anank suddenly woke up after falling asleep. Bai Qingqing's body trembled. Bean-sized tears flowed from his eyes, like pearls with broken threads falling to the ground. What the hell happened to Anin? Who will save him? Vincent gritted his teeth, withholding the pain in his heart. He reached out and snatched Anin over to me. I took Anin back to the tree cave. Let's see if he'll cry. Bai Qingqing also got up to follow. Parker stepped forward and said I'd better go. I've been in the longest time. He and I are the closest. You're here to take care of Qingqing. It's cold outside. Don't let Qingqing get sick too. What exactly did this girl go through? Eyes rolled. I fainted. Parker offered to take Anin onto the tree hole. Let's see if he cried because he recognized his brother. Vincent handed Anin to Parker. Saying goodbye to him was too painful. Parker took it solemnly. Nodded yes. He turned around and took Harvey with him. Bai Qingqing still wants to catch up. Was stopped by Vincent. Parker will take care of Anin. We were waiting for him at home. Bai Qingqing looked at the figures of the two leaving. Anin will be fine. Right, Vincent? Back I don't know. Anin may also be more auspicious. We need to be mentally prepared. Bai Qingqing heard this. Push Vincent away. How can you do that? Anin will definitely be fine. He turned to look out the window, my mom said. That's how I cried all night when I was a kid. Anin must be with me. Moon. Please bless Anin and get better soon. Vincent, however, communicated behind him. Knelt down. When I was poisoned by a scorpion. The poison is most severe on the night of the full moon. I heard that scorpion venom may be passed on to cubs. It seems to be true. Bai Qingqing's eyes suddenly widened in horror. A handful rushed forward. The guard who grabbed Vincent yelled, how could it be? How could the scorpion venom reach Anin? He's not a full moon yet. Vincent helped Platinum to the mansion. As long as I can get through tonight, he should recover. He'll make it through tonight. My poor Anin will be fine. It's going to get better. Early the next morning. At dawn, the two of them who had not slept all night were lying on the bed, looking forward to Anin can survive the golden horse. Suddenly, I heard the sound of hurried footsteps outside the door. Bai Qingqing immediately stood up. Could it be that they are back? I saw Harvey in a hurry. An arrow ran in, panting and said Anin and Bai Qingqing were about to die. Hurriedly grabbed Harvey. Shake down Anin vigorously. What the hell is wrong? You're going to finish it all in one sitting. Harvey was shaken and fainted. Vaguely said that Anin's death was unanswered. Dead something. Platinum gold, Shield felt a sense of suffocation coming to his face. I rolled my eyes in an instant. Fainted backwards. Vincent hurriedly reached out to catch it. The mother had just lost her child. Painfully, almost suffocating. Heartrending yelled at my poor Anin. Mom can't bear you. Bai Qingqing suddenly felt a sense of suffocation coming to his face. I rolled my eyes in an instant. Fall backwards. I only felt that my heart was broken. It's like falling into an abyss of ice. He lost his most important treasure. At this time, a pair of big hands grabbed it strongly. Vincent calls to you over and over again. Qingqing. You must not be fine. You still have me. And Parker. And Curtis. And 3 cute grumpy guys. They are also your children. We will always be with you. Everything will pass. Bai Qingqing snuggled in Vincent's arms. Choked up and remembered his October pregnancy. And the joy and excitement of meeting An for the first time. Screams of pain to my poor Anin. Mom can't bear you. Vincent was just as painful. But he knew he couldn't. There is also Qingqing who needs to take care of herself. And he continued to comfort him until it was over. Everything will pass. Then, Harvey asked, puzzled, and I said I had slept peacefully. What are you crying about? Vincent immediately went back to sleep. Anin is still alive. Didn't you just say he was dead? Harvey immediately turned his head in vain. When did I say Anin is dead? I'm talking about sleeping. Harvey seemed to think of something. Scratched his head embarrassedly. It must have been when he changed me. I said it was bad. You misheard that Chang'an was dead. As soon as I heard that An was dead, Bai Qingqing cried out in pain again, and Anin died. My Anin. Harvey hurriedly explained that no, you heard it wrong again. Vincent reacted completely. He gently patted Bai Qingqing's chest. Help him follow the soft voice until Qingqing is fine. Anin just fell asleep. Bai Qingqing's eyes widened violently. Immediately sit up. Anxiously asked, what did you just say? Vincent held out his palm. Gently picked up the tears from the corners of Qingqing's eyes. Speaking clearly, Harvey said that Anin didn't cry. I fell asleep just now. In order to treat the scorpion venom on An's body, Vincent prepares to travel to Salt City to ask the Scorpion King for an antidote. Vincent gently brushed away the tears from the corners of Qingqing's eyes. Speaking clearly, Harvey said that Anin didn't cry. I fell asleep just now. Bai Qingqing breathed a sigh of relief at this time, which was great. Great, Anin is fine. But Harvey pouted, saying it's the first time I've seen it. Someone like you can cry. You're in too much of a hurry, aren't you? I'd better listen to the words clearly first. Unexpectedly, as soon as he finished speaking, Bai Qingqing stepped forward one by one, grabbed Harvey by the neck. A loud bang in the cold winter. He slammed him against the wall. Vincent also hurriedly ran forward to dissuade him. Harvey was almost out of breath. Trembling body. I'm sorry in a dumb voice. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at you. But in his heart he secretly gave up. Even Vincent's power was used. How much you hate me. Hearing the blood, Bai Qingqing said with a low face, don't say it. Yes. Harvey didn't react to anything for a moment. Blood splattered, Bai Qingqing raised her blushing face. Again, it's not allowed to say anything about it. Bai Qingqing felt bitter in her heart. It's a shame, isn't it? If only Parker and Curtis knew they were wrong. I heard that Chang'an was gone. Crying heartbreaking. Wouldn't it be to laugh off the big teeth? Harvey seemed to react as well. That's when I got back to understanding. I won't say it. Vincent stepped forward and patted Qingqing on the shoulder. Don't worry, we won't say it. Everyone knows you're too nervous. I'm too afraid of losing An to be like this. You are a good mother to An. Bai Qingqing let go and Harvey said yes. Now that An is fine, nor is it a reason to move. Let's go and get An back. He cried all night. Hungry for sure. But he didn't notice anyone beside him. Unprepared, he fell headlong to the ground. The defense immediately stood up. Running for your life outside the house. Go inform Parker. Bai Qingqing was still a little worried. An is not every full moon night in the future. It's going to be uncomfortable. Does he usually see hallucinations? Is there any difference between a full moon night and usual? Vincent recalled earnestly. The night of the full moon except for illusions. There is also physical suffering. The head will hurt. I'm not sure if I usually say it. But the toxicity will be weaker and weaker each time. And should be able to get through it. It's just that. The thought of an having to experience this pain repeatedly. Vincent's heart was like a knife. If only it could ease his pain. But suddenly I thought of something. Vincent's eyes lit up. Grabbed Bai Qingqing's mobile phone and moved the knife. This is the poison of the Scorpion King. He definitely has an antidote. This man has countless eyes on his body. It was King Xie. He was suspicious by nature. Moodiness. Extremely eccentric. Vincent remembered that it was King Xie's poison. King Xie must have an antidote. He excitedly held Bai Qingqing's little hand and said, I can go to King Xie and ask for an antidote. Knew that an could still be cured. Bai Qingqing also immediately became excited. Really, then you go now. Vincent thought about it for a moment, returning to the Crabber King's suspicious nature. It is not possible to give an antidote easily. Think about it. The Scorpion King Vincent couldn't help but be on guard. His personality is moody. Extremely eccentric. Thinking of what he might do when he got angry. Vincent looked at Bai Qingqing worriedly. Shaking his head with a serious face, I can't go now. I thought that the number of acceptances was huge. If they all gather. With the current size and strength of the tribe. It definitely can't be beaten. I must not let Qingqing and the people anymore. In danger. Bai Qingqing was a little lost. But he asked. So what to do next? Vincent patted Qingqing's shoulder gently. Said that it was the light rainy season. I'll go on my own. As for the way, it's a time to think about it slowly. Then, I only heard Parker's voice coming in from outside the door. We're back. The two hurriedly looked back and saw that Anin was fine. Bai Qingqing hurriedly opened her arms. Took Anin into my arms, my baby. You suffered. Seeing An, although he had already slept. But there were still tears in the corners of his eyes. The small brow was also tightly furrowed. It's not hard to imagine how much pain he suffered last night. Seeing this, Bai Qingqing thought to herself. You hold on for a little longer. Moms and dads will definitely find a way to save you. Anin suffered a night. In the end, I was tired and hungry. When I came back, I slept and drank milk. At the moment, it seems that he has not suffered much damage. Parker learns that Anin has been poisoned. Jumped up angrily and beat Vincent. Bai Qingqing didn't stop when she wanted to. Since going through this turmoil, everyone's love for Anin has risen to a big level. Even me, who originally aspired to be a tiger mother. I also began to spoil it. The weather is also getting colder. Bai Qingqing couldn't help complaining that it was too cold in the room. Parker looked back confusedly. Didn't you say that this was just right? Two warm people to be easy. Inundate. Have you ever seen a leopard and a tiger burrow together? Vincent and Parker actually dug up the ondal together. Parker looked back confusedly. Didn't you say that this was just right? Too warm and easy to flood. Bai Qingqing looked at An in her arms worriedly. It doesn't matter if I'm there. But what should I do if An has a cold? The tyrant on the side saw this. Pat yourself in your arms. Whimper, whining. As if to say, give me my sister quickly. I was warm in my arms. Bai Qingqing slapped him angrily. You can't stay under the covers all the time. If only you could dig a hole under the house. Burn a fire inside. Then make a hot kong. You should be able to warm up the house. So that the room warms up. Maybe I'll recover faster. Vincent and Parker listened. Immediately the interest came. It's been a suffocating time. Immediately geared up to ask where to dig. Tell us how to dig quickly. See this stance. Bai Qingqing was speechless for a moment. You're in too much of a hurry, aren't you? Start in the corner of the room. Dig a hole deeper than one person into the ground. But I don't know if the floor will collapse like this. Vincent said confidently. The slate of this ground is very large. As long as the pit is smaller than the slate, it will not collapse. That's it. At the back is the garden. Easy to dig up. Parker, let's dig down from the outside together. Parker excitedly immediately agreed. Qingqing, you just stay in the room. We dug it up quickly. After that, the two of them incarnated together into longevity. Went to the garden to dig the soil. Bai Qingqing couldn't help but think. Haven't you seen leopards and tigers digging holes together? It must be interesting. Think of this picture. He immediately got up and said, I will go with you. Parker talked about his forehead. You are going to confinement. Can't go out to blow the wind. Bai Qingqing suddenly screamed in pain. Why do you hurt so much? I thought about being angry. How is it so big? My forehead is going to be swollen. Parker hurriedly leaned down, gently blew on his forehead. Said you have a good confinement in the bedroom. Blowing the wind is not good for the body. Bai Qingqing's heart is called a ruin. I shouldn't have told them that. One misstep becomes 1,000 years of hatred. Parker then turned to the tyrants and commanded, Little cubs, good afternoon for Qingqing and Anan. Don't let them catch a cold. Also, it's not allowed to let Qingqing go out to play. The leopard gulls shouted excitedly in agreement. Immediately formed a circle. Protected my mother. Bai Qingqing wrinkled her little face and hummed angrily. Don't think that's going to trap me. Look at it. Bai Qingqing turned into a fox. Cute wagged her tail. Bai Qingqing was hugged and stopped in the house. He wrinkled his little face with a huff of anger. Don't think that's going to trap me. Then the three little leopards squatted at the door. Embattled. Suddenly, there was a loud pouring of water. The leopards immediately widened their eyes and looked forward. I saw Bai Qingqing take out a bowl of milk in her hand, dangling in front of the leopards. A fox expression was revealed. Said which baby wants to drink milk. The leopards immediately rushed forward at you. Stretch out your hand to indicate that you want a drink. Bai Qingqing smiled. He rested the bowl on the floor. He stretched out his hand and said, Come and drink. The leopards rushed forward like a gust of wind. I saw the boss hold it and make two loud noises. And he pressed his brothers to the ground. Ate poisoned food. Bai Qingqing was helpless for a while. I didn't expect milk to be so tempting to them. It's time to wean early. A few seconds later, the boss who finished eating the poisonous food was looking at him. Happy licking of paws. The second and third are, of course, sitting on the ground. A sad face. Bai Qingqing kissed her throat. He asked, Do you still want a drink? Do you need to ask? The three leopard cubs immediately nodded with golden light in their eyes. Bai Qingqing immediately played on her body. He held his forehead. Weak, but my mother is so bored now. There is no milk left. You have to go out to breathe. The huggers immediately opened the curtain, whining and whining. It's like saying, Mom, go shopping. Bai Qingqing was speechless for a while. It doesn't have to be so fast. I still have something to explain to you. Turned his head to look at Anan on the side. Look after your sister in the house. Put your paws away. Don't hurt your sister. Don't be noisy either. Wait for Mom to come back. When the time comes, it will be changed to customs insurance. We were looking forward to it immediately. It's not too rosy to think about. Immediately came to Anan's side. A look of a promise to complete the task. Bai Qingqing smiled. Then An will ask her brothers. Only then did I feel relieved to open the door curtain first. Walk towards the garden in the backyard. What catches your eye? It is a tiger and a leopard crazy shaved sand scene. Fortunately, the sound of sand shaving was too loud. They didn't notice the appearance of Bai Qingqing. Bai Qingqing cushioned her neck. Cautiously, step by step, he ducked behind the tree. The probe looked at the two figures in front of him. How to feel them in this position? It's like a weasel stealing chickens. He couldn't help but snicker twice. Girl hiding behind a tree and peeping. I didn't expect to be caught as soon as I turned around. Bai Qingqing looked at the two figures in front of her. How to feel them in this position? It's like a weasel stealing chickens. I couldn't help but snicker twice. The two alert beasts heard laughter. Immediately he raised his head, turning to look at the tree. The two beasts only need a simple sniff. I knew that the person who came was Bai Qingqing. Didn't I tell him to stay in the house? Why did you run out again so restlessly? Bai Qingqing immediately hid behind the tree. He looked like he was palpitating. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. I almost got discovered. After a while, he slowly came out again. You'll have to be careful with the Kong this time. Don't let them find out. Unexpectedly, when he turned around, he pounced. A lifetime crashed into a strong chest. It hurt so much that he exhaled in pain. A look up. I found Parker and Vincent coming over, half incarnated into human form, staring at himself with a full face. I thought it was bad. I've just come out. I saw Parker talking all over the place. Why did you still run out? It's going to catch a cold. Come back with me. Bai Qingqing immediately lifted her sleeves. You see, I added clothes. It's not cold at all. With that, he reached out and shook the big palms of the two. La 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 said, and there was no wind in the yard. Just let me see from the side. Good no good. Showed a pitiful expression. Please. Vincent and Parker looked at each other, thinking if there was no wind, it should still be possible. Vincent lifted the hair from his hand. I saw that he had not moved at all. It looks like there's a fence in the way. There was really no wind in the yard. That's when he turned his head and agreed. Right next to us. Don't run around. Bai Qingqing immediately jumped up excitedly. I can finally watch the two dig holes in the open. With Qingqing's refueling, the progress of the two has improved a lot. In a few moments, the hole was dug. Bai Qingqing raised her feet and walked into the cave to check. Vincent stepped forward and said, dig one up and try it out. If it's not warm enough, another hole can be dug on the other side. Looking at the huge potatoes in front of me, Bai Qingqing couldn't help but sigh. It's like a sock shaken. You might even be able to burn ceramics. But I turned my head and forgot to forget. The two of them thought to themselves that they had been making requests. Won't they think I'm a nuisance? But if it can really burn naughty, life will be much easier. Just as he squirmed. Very tangled time. Parker stepped forward with a confident smile. Laugh, don't talk nonsense. How to make ceramics. I'll make you whatever I can. Bai Qingqing was also infected by this self-confidence. It's not very troublesome either. It's just burning mud. Have you ever seen a tiger and a leopard playing in the mud together? It's just that this shape is really unbearable to look at. Well, Bai Qingqing said, relieved to the two. Firing ceramics is also not very troublesome. It's just burning mud. Bursts of laughter erupted in Pudong. I saw Parker can't help but clutch his stomach and twitch the island. Burn mud to play. Qingqing, you're so interesting. Bai Qingqing stepped forward and blocked the mouths of the two. Don't laugh, listen to me. Dishes made of clay can be used to hold food. The pot can also cook rice. Parker was surprised. I didn't expect your bowl to hold food. Won't that get you touched? Bai Qingqing said categorically that it won't. Trust me, just use a delicate clay. Pinch it into various shapes. Then put it in the kiln and burn it. Do this out of the finished product. It will be better than stone tools. Vincent was the quickest to believe Qingqing's words. Immediately turned around and said, this sounds like it's not difficult. I'm going to look for a clay with a delicate texture. You go back to the house and wait. Bai Qingqing immediately nodded with relief. It's a while. Vincent came back with a bucket full of clay. The crowd began to play happily with the mud. And it has 3 people holding our hands, so don't worry. Bai Qingqing stepped forward to look at it curiously. I really don't know the skills of the 2 of them. It's going to come up with something. I can't bear to look at it. Bai Qingqing shook her head. It's just ugly. Forget it, let me give you a sample. With that, he reached for the dirt. Unexpectedly, Parker blocked back. Parker immediately turned his head and said no. You said you can't touch cold water. This mud is also cold. No touching. Vincent also hurriedly pasted all the dirt. It's right to compound. This one is too cold. Bai Qingqing roared indignantly. But you're too ugly. It's not easy to pack things like this. And this look. It's just a lump of hollow goose. Parker disagreed. He also held the baby wet. I think it's good. This will be used for you in soup later. Bai Qingqing suddenly felt a chill, so I don't want to use it. I thought to myself if this was done, it's better to use stone tools. Forget it, it seems that you can only use tools. Then he told the 2 men to go and bring the graphite. After a while, the graphite was carried over. Under Bai Qingqing's patient guidance, the 2 of them also started to flee in style. This look is indeed incomparable to the previous one, Parker said excitedly, holding Qingqing's arm. This one works so well. Qingqing, you're so smart. Parker showed 2 small tiger teeth and laughed foolishly. You are my partner. It's as it should be to be nice to you. After listening to Parker's praise, Bai Qingqing smiled happily. You have to listen to me. Easy to use and fun. I want to try it too. With that, he reached out and prepared to touch the clay. Unexpectedly, it was opened by Parker again. Also asked Qingqing to play while playing. Bai Qingqing's eyes suddenly turned red with anger. It's really unbearable to lose. Get up immediately. Slap the table hard. What if I let me rub one? What are you doing so stiffly? You're bullying. But I thought in my heart that if I could beat you. I did it a long time ago. Why bother? The 2 of them were really angry when they saw Bai Qingqing. I can't help but panic. Vincent opened his mouth to persuade him. We are afraid that your body will be damaged. This mud is really cold. Wait until the confinement is done. Shall we play with you? Bai Qingqing pursed her mouth and couldn't help it. Who called this confinement his own request? They are also doing it for their own good. Then hold on for a few more days. Thinking of this, Bai Qingqing turned white. Bai Shui sat down and said, Forget it. I'm not going to rob you today. Not for a while. Rows of delicate little bowls are ready. It was neatly laid out on the stone slabs. Vincent and Parker carefully placed these earthen bowls. Moved to the kiln. According to Bai Qingqing's description, they made cups, plates, vases, and other shapes. Then the timber was thrown in, directly ignited a fire. Plumes of smoke billowed out of the kiln. Not for a while. Bursts of heat came up along the stone slabs. Bai Qingqing looked at the ground excitedly. It's really hot and sweaty. The leopard also stretched out its little paws to probe. I was very surprised and curious. Parker lifted the curtain and asked, The fire is already burning. Is there any warming? Seeing Bai Qingqing nodded again and again. Parker walked in excitedly. It's good to have an effect. We had a lot of firewood. It can be burned for a long time. Bai Qingqing stepped forward and thanked you for your hard work. Parker stepped forward and pinched the tip of his nose. Fool, you are my partner. It's as it should be to be nice to you. Seeing Parker's serious face, Bai Qingqing couldn't help but think that he seemed to have become calmer. But he turned his head and saw his snapping, wagging his tail non-stop. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. I thought I was restraining myself. The tail has betrayed you. Then, Parker also turned his head to see that he couldn't control himself. The tail that wags all the time. Hold it down embarrassedly. It's so embarrassing that there is so much ash in this room. I'll kiss the blood later. The leopard on the side let out a cry. The two looked back. I saw that his two little paws had been burned red. Curtis was lying on the ground in a hot state, a dehydrated image. Bai Qingqing was roasted by the 5 flowers. I heard the cries of slaughter on the side. The two turned back. Look. I saw that his two little paws were smoking. Bai Qingqing hurriedly stepped forward to check. It turned out to be water on his paws. Smoke evaporated by roasting. Only then did everyone put their minds at ease. The leopards also played unscrupulously. Bai Qingqing also smiled with satisfaction. It doesn't look very hot. He sat down with a thud. This winter can finally be warm. It's so hot. I'll sleep on this from now on. Parker said when he saw this. This ground is too hard. I'll go get a piece of animal skin and put it on and sleep again. Bai Qingqing turned around and commanded. By the way, I want to fetch a basin of water and put it on the Kong. Add some humidity to the room. Don't dry in skin. After laying out the mat, Bai Qingqing lay down on it and fell asleep. The dream was full of crackling fires. He was constantly sweating. I vaguely heard someone calling out to me. Qingqing. He looked up. It turned out to be Curtis. I was amazed. Curtis asked suspiciously, "Why did you wake up so quickly? Is it a hot festival now?" "It's so hot, I need to change into thin clothes." But that's not the end of the story. A quilt was put up. Just listen to Vincent say no. You're still in confinement. Cover more. Parker used a rope to tie it up. That's right, the tightness of the clothes. No air leakage. Vincent kept clapping his clothes. Curtis collapsed directly to the ground. A pair of dehydration tanks. Bai Qingqing felt that she was about to be roasted. Desperately yelling goodbye to Ad. "Don't add it. I'm going to die of heat." He snapped his eyes open, woke up, wheezing and panting. He quickly sat up, fanned the 3 winds. "It's so hot in the room." Parker asked Qingqing back. "When you wake up, do you want to drink some warm water on the Kong?" Bai Qingqing wiped the sweat from her face. "No need to go back. I went to the backyard to get some air. It's so stuffy inside the bedroom." He should open the curtains. A cold wind whistled in. Curtis hibernates for the first time by a fire pit. What an experience. Bai Qingqing felt that the bedroom was too stuffy. Then he opened the curtain. Prepare to go out and breathe. Just opened the curtain. A cool breeze blew in. It's very refreshing. Bai Qingqing took a few deep breaths greedily. Look around. I saw Vincent also in the courtyard. So he stepped forward and pushed his north. "Vincent, what are you doing?" But my heart suddenly chuckled. Why is Vincent's back so cold? Like ice cubes. Vincent heard the voice. Turn around immediately. Looked at by Qingqing happily. Qingqing's little hand touched his chest. I was chuckling in my heart again. Your back is as cold as ice. But his chest was as hot as coals. How not to get a shed to block the wind? This is hot and cold at the same time. The blood circulation will be broken. Vincent looked unimpressed. I touched his head and said it was okay. I have a thick coat. The body is also very strong. Bai Qingqing looked firm. You can't spoil yourself so much if you're strong. The shed must be large. And I'll come to see you often, too. I don't want me to wear snow in my cloak. As soon as I heard this, Vincent immediately nodded in agreement. I'll answer later. Bai Qingqing smiled. This is about the same. Then he turned and walked in the direction of the kiln. He looks like a leader in the inspection work. I'll see how the mud burn's going. But I was surprised to find out. Vincent actually made a smoke on the top of the kiln. Chimney was delighted when this was done. It's quite effective. It's amazing. Vincent scratched his head embarrassedly. Black smoke continued to come out of the stove. It is inconvenient to add firewood. I was also worried about the smoke drifting into the house. I opened a cigarette outlet. I didn't expect it to work well. Bai Qingqing hurriedly applauded. You are so smart. I thought about the beast food that didn't even have a stove here. Vincent was able to figure out the chimney on his own. It's so clever. The mud pellets in the kiln are also burned crystal clear. The two squatted by the kiln, looking at the porcelain inside. Waited a while. Bai Qingqing said, I don't know what the clay bowl has become of. Why don't we take it out and take a look? Vincent asked suspiciously. You mean take it out now? That's a no-no. It's too dangerous. When Lady Luck falls from the sky, you'll choose to hug your thighs. Or hug your thighs. Bai Qingqing proposes to take your bowl out. Let's see what it's like. Vincent's face was serious. Absolutely not. It's too dangerous. The bowl is made of mud after all. Forcing it will break it. I'll wait until the fire is out before I climb in. Bai Qingqing spread her hands. Said that if he was so vulnerable, there was no need to be him. Trust me, he won't break so easily. You just go and get him out. Vincent looked at him suspiciously. After thinking about it for a while, he nodded and said okay. Then take the outside one out and take a look. You don't have to pick it all up. Thereupon, Vincent found 2 sticks and pulled the bowl out. Tell Bai Qingqing to get out of the way. Okay. The girls suddenly ran 100 meters away. Niwen was successfully removed. Cut on the snow. There was a clang. Both of them stepped forward curiously to investigate. There was still puffs of white smoke rising from the bottom of the bowl. Bai Qingqing's eyes widened in surprise. I couldn't help but exclaim. How is it so beautiful? It can't be fired directly into ceramics. Hurriedly picked up the branch on the side. Pushed your bowl. The surface of the bowl is smooth. It's like a coat of paint. Is this because the temperature has not dropped completely? Vincent picked up the bowl. Want to take a closer look? Bai Qingqing nervously reminded to be careful. Fortunately, the stone bowl is already cold. Vincent brought the bowl closer to his eyes. I was surprised to find the texture of the bowl turned out to be different. It becomes very hard and smooth. Bai Qingqing couldn't help but stretch out her curious little hand. Let me touch it. It's really smooth. Daniel fetish are fired out of the efficiency of glazing. The silt at the bottom of the river that made this is simply amazing. I couldn't help but feel ecstasy. I'm just a gourd and try to burn it. Porcelain was fired in one go. I was so lucky. I turned my head to the side and found a flaw next to the bowl. It must have been printed when it was clipped. The rest is still waiting for the fire to go out. Let's take it out after cooling down and setting the shape. Vincent looked at the porcelain tiles in front of him. I couldn't help but think about it. Dirt can be burned into a harder object. If it's harder than dirt, when it is strong. The girl crosses over to the beast room. What it's like to be a woman who is king. Vincent pondered. Dirt can be burned into a harder object. That if it's a stone that's harder than dirt. Bai Qingqing couldn't help but feel emotional when she heard him say this. What are you doing? I thought of something harder than stone. Isn't it steel? Bai Qingqing couldn't imagine it. A picture of a group of people being struck with iron. Vincent wants to make steel at a master's degree. That's too difficult, isn't it? Vincent looked down and pondered for a moment. I remembered the nail clippers Qingqing had used. The material is extremely hard. I've been wondering what kind of stone he will be made of. Can it be used to make more utensils? But he searched the whole stone mountain. Acacia stones were also found. Come on now. It might have to be like my girl's night. Put the stone in the fire and burn it. To get that kind of material. Bai Qingqing looked at Vincent's serious face. I couldn't help but feel relieved. Unexpectedly, Vincent was such a visionary and inquisitive man. There is such a spirit in Vincennes may have led the rapid development of the master's degree. Become a hero who changes the status quo of backward masters. If only I could help him achieve this ideal. It's also my pleasure. Thinking of this, he spoke. Nail clippers are made of steel. In my original world, extremely dependent on steel. Steel makes our lives easier. It's also safer. It is derived from a metal ore. refined. Steel will be several times harder than stone. A knife made of steel, as sharp as Curtis's scales. Vincent didn't expect steel to be so powerful. Surprised, even the bowl in his hand fell to the ground. Grabbed by Qingqing's shoulder. Excited. If you can make weapons and defensive tools out of steel, that tribe would be safer. You'll also be safer. Tell me how steel is made. Bai Qingqing saw such a Vincent for the first time. I was so scared that I shuddered. I couldn't stop trembling. Only then did Vincent react. I chuckled in my heart. Quickly let go of his hand. Take a step back. Apologized at a loss. Didn't I scare you? I'm sorry I'm so excited. I really want to knock myself with a stick. How can you be so tempted in front of Qingqing? Bai Qingqing often lost 2 breaths. It's so embarrassing that it's okay. One grasped Vincent's big hand. You are my partner. Of course I won't be afraid of you. About iron making. I don't know much either. Only a little bit learned. You'll have to figure it out. Vincent, however, looked satisfied. You gave me an idea. Has helped me a lot. The two hit it off. Vincent went to find the ores containing the metal first. After that, the two studied refining together. I'm also joining. A voice came in suddenly. The two looked back sadly. Parker pointed to his self-confidence island. How could such a challenging thing be without me? Don't say men can't. Otherwise, the goose will bear the consequences. Parker hears that the two are going to make steel. He pointed to his self-confidence island. How could such a challenging thing be without me? My sense of smell is sharpened. Let's take turns looking for $10 now. Vincent and I joined forces. Sure to find it soon. Thought. Finally has the opportunity to show his hand in front of Qingqing again. Unexpectedly. Listen to Vincent get up and arrange for you to stay at home. I went out and looked for $10. Parker was stunned. Randomly reacted and yelled why. I thought to myself about Vincent. Recently, it has become more and more arrogant. I really don't teach you a lesson. I have forgotten who I am. Only to see Vincent pointing at Parker with a policy answer. I can order the people to find 10 yuan together. Can you? Parker, Ton, and Thursday. Embarrassed, he froze in place. Vincent then arranged for me to go and instruct the people. Parker took care of his home while prospecting. Wait until the fire is out before taking out all your bowls. With that, he turned and left. Parker's face was black. Looking at Vincent's back, there was a kazakaz grinding sound in his mouth. I secretly cursed this dead fox beast in my heart. What a drag. Bai Qingqing on the side heard such a loud grinding sound. I'm afraid he'll wear out his teeth. She stepped forward and patted him on the shoulder. Comfort goodbye grinding. Be careful to smooth out your teeth. Parker was even more aggrieved. I thought to myself, even Qingqing has to underestimate herself. No, I've got to be stronger. Thinking of this, he picked up Bai Qingqing, directly on the shoulder. The big lady didn't go back to the house. In a few moments, the hot meal was ready. The leopards were the first to rush out. He ate in his own bowl. Bai Qingqing knocked on the porcelain bowl in her hand. There was a crisp sound. I thought it was great. And the masters can actually use a clean porcelain bowl. The soup tastes even more delicious when you drink it in this bowl. Then he turned to Parker. You bring me a few vases tomorrow. I want to replace all 10 vases in my house. Parker nodded yes. Eat it. The barbecue is going to be cold. Bai Qingqing picked up the wooden block in her hand and looked at it. This chopstick is really ugly. Why don't you bring me another pair of chopsticks? No problem. Parker agreed to look at our dexterous hand. Vincent wouldn't let me look for the stones. Somewhat jealous of my abilities. This girl. I am preparing to start the Industrial Revolution in my master's degree. First of all, you need to find the ore to make steel. It didn't take long. Vincent returned with a large bag of stones. A look of tiredness on his face. Bai Qingqing stepped forward excitedly and asked, "How did the stone grow?" Sure Ting Dong made a loud noise. "Vincent will be the beast on his shoulders." The leather bag was placed in front of Qingqing. Bai Qingqing was taken aback. One bounced up and took 2 steps back. Vincent immediately crouched down. The leather bag was slowly unwound, and the samples were inside. I picked it for a long time. There should be a suitable rough stone. I'm going to pour them all out. Only then did Bai Qingqing notice a look of exertion on Vincent's face. I thought I had found these stones so quickly. He must have had a hard time. He stepped forward and grabbed Vincent's arm. "Don't rush to say this. You've had a busy day. I finally got home. Eat well and rest first." Heard the word home. Vincent looked at Qingqing's little face. A look of satisfaction and happiness was revealed. "I thought I was all alone before. Now I have a home. It feels so warm. The tiredness of the day has also disappeared for the most part." But I heard this voice. I saw Parker put a big chicken leg. It was placed on Vincent's plate. He pushed the plate and said, "You all come over and eat. The meat is going to be cold. Dead tiger counts you lucky. I'm doing more. If it weren't for the fear of waste, I wouldn't give it to you." The two looked at each other, smiled knowingly at a glance. After a while, the table was swept away. Parker went to wash the dishes. Vincent, on the other hand, wiped the table neatly. Bai Qingqing came to the spacious place on the side. "Pick up the stones. I don't know if there will be metal in these stones." Vincent stepped forward and returned. "I asked my people to find the right stone. Then I handpicked. These stones all have a metal-like smell." Bai Qingqing asked suspiciously, "Metal also smells. Then you can help me get some nail clippers?" I asked. Vincent immediately took the nail clippers. Bai Qingqing took the nail clippers, put it on the tip of the nose and make a show of strength. But I still didn't smell it at all. Parker picked out a stone. It was handed to Qingqing. "There must be metal in this self-confidence island. It's heavy, even if it's not. It's also definitely something harder than metal." Bai Qingqing hurriedly took it over and took a closer look. He also took out the light beads sent by Lan Zhe. "I want to take care of what's inside." When he looked closely, but his eyes widened in surprise. "This is not supposed to be. Have a love. What an experience it is to be a troubled leopard. It's really not a day without fighting. Go to the house and uncover the tiles." Bai Qingqing took the stone and looked at it carefully, but his eyes widened in surprise. I saw a bright light from the inside of the stone. Crystal clear. This is not metal. Could it be jade? Bai Qingqing looked at it carefully and suspiciously. Parker snatched the stone from him. "What's so hard about this? Smash it open and take a look." So saying, he lifted the stone. "If you do something, you have to smash it." Bai Qingqing immediately panicked, hurriedly stretched out his hand to stop him. "Don't smash it. It can be described as a knight. Just listen to the clang." The stone was slammed into the ground, shattered. Bai Qingqing was annoyed for a while. "What are you doing pounding Parker's arm? You've smashed everything inside." Parker showed 2 small tiger teeth. Black smiled darkly. "Raise your hand for Qingqing to take a closer look." Bai Qingqing's eyes lit up instantly. Such a large grain was smashed, and it was not broken. I wondered if this could be a diamond. There are exactly 7 of them. Such a big diamond. If you put it in modern times, all of them are worth a fortune. Hee, keep it for an as a dowry. But again, I heard a clang. I saw Parker pick up the stone again, smash down again. I also regretfully said, "Oops." The bottom of the stone seems to be flat. It looks like it smashed this time. This thing really doesn't smash. Bai Qingqing looked at the scene in front of her. There are 100,000 grass and mud horses galloping in my heart. This was followed by a roar of a lion in the east of the river. "Parker, I said don't smash it. Do you have to smash a stone to be happy?" Parker's head of 5 aching was aggrieved. I just wanted to see how hard he really was. Anyway, the metal is going to be burned and reshaped. What does it matter if it is smashed? Bai Qingqing tugged at his bower and said, "This is not metal. It's useless if the gem is smashed." I thought to myself, this is not a diamond. It is also a precious gemstone for sure. It's really a loser to smash it like this. Parker's face was aggrieved. Begging for mercy, "I'm sorry, Qingqing. Forgive me. I'm going to find you more and better." Only then did Bai Qingqing let go of her hand. "You don't have to look for it. Just to remember. Don't smash it for me again in the future." Parker Dancy fell to his knees. Diamonds in both hands. It's a lively proposal scene. At this time, Vincent was holding the remaining 6 gems. It was handed to Qingqing. "Don't be angry. Gave you Parker only smashed one. There are 6 left, all of which are in good condition." Looking at the mature and steady tattoo, Bai Qingqing's chi disappeared immediately. Boldly reached out and took the gem and thanked you. Looked at the 2 close people in front of him. Parker thought to himself, "Apparently I smashed the gem out. Qingqing was actually angry with me. Instead, he said thank you to Vincent." The little beast inside was already angry, staring at only the 2 of them. Bai Qingqing stared at the gem in her hand with regret. Originally, there were 7 of them. It's a pity that it's all Parker's fault. "Plunge you to clean up all of this place." Parker leaned over aggrievedly and picked it up. "I just wanted to help you." But when he picked up the stone, suddenly it tightened. Immediately pointed to the ground excitedly. "Qingqing, look at it." Everyone looked sideways curiously. I saw that the gem smashed into the ground intact. The ground cracked open several cracks. Bai Qingqing's eyes suddenly widened. "I can't believe it. This gem is so hard." Parker slammed into it, and he squeezed out the gem. Holding the xianbao room with both hands, he handed it to Qingqing. "It's just this half-kneeling position. How to have a feeling of proposing." Bai Qingqing took the gem. The joy on his face was great. "One more. I've got to collect it." Later, it was passed on to an aunt. Parker looked up triumphantly. "I knew it. The stone I chose won't be so easy to break." Vincent, who was beside the blood ting, spoke. "I dug this stone." Chapek dismissively looked away. Vincent turned his head to look at Bai Qingqing. Said he had discovered a very deep place. "The stone is just below that place. I found it, and I'll look for it myself tomorrow. Maybe there's more." Bai Qingqing smiled and nodded. But there was a burst of ecstasy in my heart. I thought it was great. The more gems, the better. Sword Bai Qingqing likes Parker so much. He also stepped forward and asked, "Hey, wherever I have time, I try my luck." Vincent just turned his head to look at him. Silent. Parker said why he was looking at me like that. "I don't want to make Qingqing happy. I won't ask this tiger beast." "Forget it. I'll find it myself." I didn't ask him, but I heard Vincent speak. "It's the closest thing to the Rocky Mountain. At the foot of a rocky mountain in the sand." Pointed to himself, and then said, "I can take you." Parker was stunned. I didn't expect Vincent to say that. Awkwardly patted the herd of hides. "Sit up straight." I replied with a word of thanks. Looked at the 2 people who were in harmony in front of them. Bai Qingqing smiled with satisfaction. I thought that their relationship was getting better and better. This is much more precious than a gemstone. Mr. Bai's master's class opened. The tiger and leopard in the audience listened intently. Bai Qingqing was in the stone that Vincent had come to visit. 7 gems were found. It's worth a lot of money at first glance. He carefully packed them in a leather bag. I'm wondering where to put it. After thinking about it, he lifted the pillow he was sleeping on. The leather bag was placed under the pillow. Don't forget to pat it. Such a precious gem. Of course, you have to hide in the safest place. After hiding, Bai Qingqing turned her head to look at Vincent. Is the metal or all sorted? Vincent nodded. Tomorrow I will go and gather my people. Build an iron-making room to experiment with. Bai Qingqing opened her mouth to remind. By the way, you have to burn charcoal first. The two beasts used to make iron suddenly looked puzzled. Does iron smelting still have anything to do with charcoal? Of course it does. So Bai Qingqing gave a lesson to the orcs. How steel is made. In short, carbon monoxide is used in iron smelting. Iron oxide in iron ore is reduced to a normal solid. Charcoal contains a lot of carbon monoxide. It's not hard to burn charcoal. Just put the timber in the pit and burn it halfway. Then seal the hearth. When cooled, it turns into carbon. Bai Qingqing looked at Vincent. There was a look of anticipation. I'll go with me tomorrow. I roughly remember some steps. Vincent helped him pull the quilt. I nodded yes. You go to bed early. I'll pick you up after I've built the iron-making house. Bai Qingqing lay down happily. Ever since there was a fire pit, the whole bedroom becomes. It's so warm. If only the fire pit had been made earlier. Curtis doesn't have to sleep. Just in the house. I can still see him every day. I miss him so much. Parker leaned sideways and touched his little face. Rest assured, the cold season is only a few months. It will soon pass. You still have us. I will always be there for you. Bai Qingqing fell headlong into Parker's arms. Hold him tight. Sniffed. His face was full of happiness. Parker's cheeks were also dizzy from the sunset. He gently stroked Qingqing's little head. I looked down and found out. He fell asleep so quickly. The breathing also becomes even. What did this person say to Bai Qingqing? The heart, liver, and lungs that excited him. The heart of gossip is bursting. Parker bowed his head, looking at Bai Qingqing's peaceful and sweet sleep. I thought it was good that Curtis hibernate early. In that case, I can sleep with Qingqing every day. Come to think of this. And his heart was overjoyed. Hugged Qingqing in his arms tighter. Bai Qingqing, who was sleeping, trembled slightly. I felt like I was surrounded by the sun. The heat made me sweat. Hurriedly subconsciously pushed Parker away. Turned around and rolled into Vincent's arms. Vincent saw this. Hurriedly raised his hand and lifted in and up. Parker's face was depressed. I want to cry without tears. Qingqing actually ran away. But listen to Bai Qingqing's mouth in his sleep. Could it be that the Sheng family is at home? The two were stunned. I thought to myself, Qingqing, this is talking in a dream. But in the long time since they knew Bai Qingqing, I have never heard the name of the Sheng family. Could this be Qingqing? Someone you know from a place where you previously lived. Early the next morning, two people, none of them mentioned the name. Vincent took his people with him early in the morning. A hearth was dug up in the forest and built an iron-making house on top of the hearth. Vincent's comprehension is very strong. Bai Qingqing roughly said the steps he knew. He was quick to understand and made an iron-making scheme. The clansmen were led by Vincent. There is an unsteady movement in their minds. Everyone's enthusiasm is at an all-time high. Youth in the tribe, in addition to the partner's pregnancy, needs to be taken care of. Almost all the others came to help. Bai Qingqing came to the mouth of the earth. Looked down. I didn't expect it to be just one day. Vincent did all the preparations. He's too efficient. Just as he watched intently. But I heard a person behind me say that it would be troublesome. I'm going down to deliver charcoal. Bai Qingqing hurriedly nodded and prepared to get out of the way. When I turned around, I found that it was Jasmine's partner. Edgar, Bai Qingqing asked suspiciously, "Why don't you take care of Jasmine at home? She's about to give birth." The Ed family bowed their heads back to Jasmine was born in just over 2 months. Alva at home takes care of her. Bai Qingqing immediately stood up excitedly. A series of questions were sent out to Alva. They have been robbed again and again. It's when. Edgar was embarrassed to overdo it. It was yesterday. What Bai Qingqing excited heart, liver, and lungs trembled. The heart of gossip is bursting. But a peacock turned into a human form. A pair of emerald eyes that hooked the soul. Lifted up slightly. He smiled wickedly. Intoxicating. White crystal from Edgar's mouth. Learned about Jasmine and Alvagera. Instantly excited heart, liver, and lungs tremor. The heart of gossip is bursting. Time goes back to a day ago. The group leader took Alva to Jasmine's house, raised his hand and said to Jasmine, "Now that Alva has made a request for you to save the trip, you have to accept it, because there is a rule for ordination. After the bear beast rescued the female, the right to offer to travel with him. The female cannot refuse. From now on, Alva is your partner." "I disagree." Jasmine strongly refused. "He's just trying to use me to escape mining." The team leader's face was righteous. "There's no doubt that he saved your life. There is a right to ask to be your partner. No one can break the rules." Jasmine thought of Alva, probably just taking advantage of yourself. I involuntarily shrank back. A look of reluctance. Edgar understood the rules, too. Can only helplessly comfort Emily. After the group leader left, Edgar and Alva. Then came a duel between men. In the end, it was decided that Alva would guard Jasmine at home. Edgar went to help with the mines. Jasmine patted the hide shop dissatisfied. "I thought that even my father was looking for the green peacock. Why do masters have such a rule? Look at the peacock that got carried away on the side." Immediately, he was even more angry. With one punch, he crushed the mashed potatoes in his hand. He shook his hand, picked up another piece of potato, and turned it upside down. See Alvana. As soon as Dish shook his feathers, he was angry. So he pushed the potatoes in his hand hard. Towards Irva smashed. The peacock easily dodged as soon as he raised his head. Jasmine yelled dissatisfiedly, "You're transformed. Green peacock." Alva twisted his face and smiled wickedly at him. "You're sure? I'm afraid you won't be able to stand it." Jasmine looked into Alva's eyes. How can there be a kind of bad encounter? Could it be that this guy wants to do something bad again? The blood-spattered peacock turned away, shook the feathers off his body, transformed into a handsome and dashing human form. A long green hair fluttered down. A pair of emerald eyes that hooked the soul, lifted up slightly. He smiled wickedly. Intoxicating. Jasmine was directly stunned. The heart beats like a rib. His cheeks were also stained with the fire of the sunset. Even the man had already walked in front of him. "I don't know. It's handsome for only 3 seconds. Alva stabbed him in the waist. "How are you satisfied?" Jasmine came to her senses. "Hurry up and don't go over the face." He replied with a disgusting look. "Hurry up and get dressed." "Naked to whom?" "After the girl is molested." Angrily, he grabbed the potatoes on the side. Like a pea shooter, smashed at the man. Jasmine turned her face away. Pretending to be disgusted, replied, "Hurry up and get dressed." "Who is it for naked?" Alvard, who saw through it at a glance, smiled meaningfully. "Hee, a duplicitous female. When I duel with Edgar, accidentally broke the animal skin skirt. I don't have to wear it now." Noni glared at him indignantly. "Then you can make your own." Alva paralyzed his hand. "I'm your male now. You don't care about me. It doesn't matter if I wear it or not." Jasmine's face was covered with black lines. Angry eyes reddened. Grabbed Edgar's first skirt on the side, and they threw it at his head and put it on. Alva took off her first skirt and looked at it. Jasmine turned her head and said that she was ugly, and she would do it herself. "Put it on for me. Otherwise, don't come near me." In a few moments, Alva put on the animal skin skirt. Jasmine turned her head, saw Alvar pulling a baggy skinny leather skirt. I couldn't help but laugh. Malicious teasing. "Or is Edgar stronger than you? Your waist is much thicker than yours." Alva laughed instead of being angry. He patted the herd of hides on his body, strode in front of Jasmine. "Lean over the wild rain road, but I can make you happier." Jasmine looked up. I was stunned by his sudden approach. but I heard him say such tiger and wolf words. Turning his head, he poked a mouthful. Get the hell out of here. With that, he grabbed the potatoes on the side, like a pea shooter, slammed into Irwa. Because they were too close, Alva was defenseless again, was smashed enough. He couldn't take it anymore. One grab of Jasmine's hand is enough. Now it's you begging me. You already have a bad reputation for abandoning your partner. If I leave you again, there's no masculinity for you. Jasmine was undaunted. It didn't matter if you looked up to meet Alva's gaze. The kind of male who cares about a bad reputation. I don't like it either. You can't threaten me. Get out of here now. Alva was stunned. Suddenly it was like a deflated ball. Lie down on the bed. I'm not leaving. Akira does not mind a play. I'm not leaving. Suddenly there was a roar of Jasmine from the tree hole. You get up for me. Who let you sleep in the nest? Sleep in the corner. The screen turns. Came to the iron-making room. People are busy going back and forth. Vincent was staring at the crackling furnace in front of him. Mars is like an arrow. Smoky. Blood splattered behind him. Bai Qingqing slid down. Chow Vincent was so excited that I would tell you a big gossip. But I haven't had time to say it yet. Choked on the smoke and coughed. Vincent's face was nervous. Are you okay? One can't see the money. Hugged Bai Qingqing. How did you get down? I'll carry you up. Bai Qingqing raised her face to look at Vincent. By the way, you know what? Jasmine and Alvar Jalen. Vincent nodded. There are so many things going on. However, these 2 days have been busy mining and making iron. Didn't ask much. Bai Qingqing lowered her head and pondered. Look at Edgar's face is not good. I didn't ask much. Wait for the cold to end. I'll have to ask. Mori's voice just fell. He coughed a few more times from the gun. Vincent hurriedly carried him to the outside of the iron-making room. Bai Qingqing patted her chest. Only then did he breathe a sigh of relief. Feels so much better. But the air down there is too bad. Burning charcoal produces toxic gases. The cellar needs to be ventilated. Otherwise, after being in it for a long time, there will be a lack of oxygen. Or even poisoning. Vincent was taken aback. Parker picked the girl up. Rushed to the side of the bed in a hurry. Bai Qingqing reminded that the air in the iron-making furnace was too poor. Burning charcoal produces toxic gases. If you stay in it for a long time, you will be deprived of oxygen or even poisoned. Vincent thought to himself, to make improvements. So he sent Bai Qingqing back to the castle first. When I first walked to the gate of the castle, I heard an Anne snoring. Inside the castle, Parker looked anxious and coaxed an in. Mommy will be back to feed you right away. The voice did not fall. Vincent walked in with Qingqing in his arms. Bai Qingqing hurriedly opened her arms and woke up peacefully. Definitely hungry. Give it to me. Parker breathed a sigh of relief. If Qingqing doesn't come back, are you going to find it yourself? Immediately handed an into Bai Qingqing's arms. One is Mom. And immediately stretched out her fleshy little hand, pulling Bai Qingqing's clothes. Vincent lifted the curtain, said back, I'm going to open a ventilation duct in the cellar of the iron-making room. Luckily, Qingqing, you reminded me. This matter still cannot be delayed. See such an efficient Vincent. Bai Qingqing nodded with satisfaction. Don't worry, just ventilate down there and you'll be fine. Parker on the side was confused. What are you talking about? Ventilation. Bai Qingqing turned around and explained. It's just that the iron-making cellar is too stuffy. But that's not the end of the story. I couldn't help coughing a few more times. Parker panicked when he saw this. I thought Qingqing had a cold. These are the last days of confinement. But nothing can go wrong. Hurriedly hugged Bai Qingqing. Rushed towards the bed. I want to keep him warm as soon as possible. Bai Qingqing stretched out her hand. I want to explain that I don't have a cold. But the words have not yet been spoken. Parker carried him to the leather mat. Don't speak with a nervous face. Illness during the confinement period will leave the root of the disease. That's a good thing. Thereupon, then he took the quilt one by one towards Qingqing's head. Bai Qingqing was covered with hot sweat on her forehead. How this scene feels so familiar. Parker turned around and said no. I'm going to add some firewood. Then call Harvey. Bai Qingqing saw this posture, hurriedly reached out and grabbed him and waited. I didn't catch a cold. It can be hot in the iron room. I'm just breathing a little uncomfortable. I'm afraid to turn back. Then this one won't leave the root of the disease. Bai Qingqing shook her head. She wouldn't flow. You can rest assured that this will be fine for a while. Parker squatted down in peace of mind. In the future, I am not allowed to go to the iron training room again. Bai Qingqing nodded obediently. I thought to myself, I have already seen everything I want to see anyway. It doesn't matter if you go or not. What secrets are hidden inside this gym? Why did Anin cry when he held him? An Anin on the side cried nonstop. The big-hearted parents are still chatting on the sidelines. Bai Qingqing lowered her head and thought about it. But I've been staying in the house. It's closed, too. He immediately looked up. I still have some Curtis hair. Parker thought he was going to make clothes. Hurriedly stopped hurting his eyes like this. Bai Qingqing shook her head. I'm going to string gyms. You can also give Anin as a toy. The two chatted happily. Parker suddenly thought, by the way, Anin, why didn't she cry? Aren't you hungry? Look down. Anin was speechless. A tired expression was revealed. I was tired of crying before I was remembered. It's the first time I felt the powerlessness of being a human being. After a boring feeding, Bai Qingqing also strung all 7 gemstones. Hurriedly brought it up. Don't forget to ask if it's pretty. Parker immediately gave a thumbs up. It's so beautiful. Qingqing, you're really the most ingenious magnet in your hands. Wear it for a while. Bai Qingqing took them down. These 7 are really heavy when worn together. Do not wear it for a long time. After playing the violent guts of going home, frolicking to the bedroom. As soon as I saw the sparkling gem in my mother's hand, the third child was immediately attracted. Eyes lit up. Reach out and want to touch. Bai Qingqing saw that he liked it so much, and they brought it to him. The third child looked at the jewel in front of him happily. Immediately burst into laughter. Love. Unexpectedly. The next second, he was strangled from behind. With a thud, he fell to the ground. I saw the eldest and second child biting the rope hard. Scramble. The third child raised his neck. The gem was bounced out, thrown directly into the air. The eldest and second were staring at the gem. The boss crouched back. To do things is to bounce. All I heard was a whoop and a roar. The boss kicked his legs, jumped up with a whoosh. It's time to get your hands on the gem. That's when it happened. The second child immediately stood up, grabbed the boss's thigh and bit down. Good guy boss didn't expect it. My paws have touched the gems. He was even dragged back, a face of unwillingness. The gem also fell in front of Parker with a thud. He reached out and picked it up. Don't rob y'all. This one will be played by Anin first. See sparkling gemstones. Anin also widened her eyes. I looked at it curiously. But in the next second, he pouted. He looked scared. Bai Qingqing took the gem from Parker's hand. Don't shake it. It should have dazzled An's eyes. He gently handed the gem into An's hand. Obediently take it and play with it. Anin stretched out her chubby little hand, grabbed the gem in his hand. It was as if I felt something. Suddenly, he burst into tears. I'll say baby eyes. Being able to see something unclean. Bayani is no exception. Anin stretched out her chubby little hand, grabbed the gem in his hand. It was as if I felt something. Suddenly, he burst into tears. Everyone suddenly became nervous. Hurriedly comforted Anand. Don't cry, don't cry. Anin threw away the gem in his hand. I couldn't help but tremble. Bai Qingqing also broke out in a cold sweat, a nervous face. Could it be that the scorpion venom has flared up again? But not today. It's a full moon night. Parker turned his head to notice the gem that Anan had dropped. And they took him up. Said probably because of the necklace. You hide it and try it. Bai Qingqing hurriedly stretched out her hand to take it. I'll try it. He placed the necklace under his pillow. Don't forget to turn around and say to Anan, look at Anan. Mom hid the necklace. Reached out and patted the pillow. Cover it tightly. Completely invisible. At this time, Anan really stopped crying. Sobbing slightly. Bai Qingqing's eyes widened in disbelief. Anan really didn't cry anymore. He sighed again and lifted the pillow and tried it. As a result, Anan burst into tears again. Bai Qingqing put the pillow down. Anan stopped crying again. It's just not amazing. He smiled brightly. It seems that it is really because of the necklace. Don't all cubs like this shiny thing? Bai Qingqing reached out and pinched An's little face. It's really a crying bag. Parker doesn't think so. He immediately took An into his arms. An is the most well-behaved. There must be something wrong with that stone. You hide him. Don't be seen by An. Bai Qingqing reluctantly returned to no. I put it under the pillow. If you don't take it out, it's fine. 3 days later, outside the iron-making room, a group of people were sitting in a circle. Vincent raised the iron in his hand. Excited. This was the first piece of iron we successfully trained. Prove that we have chosen the right ore. With iron, we will be able to build harder weapons and workmanship to better defend our homeland. Grow your tribe. Build this place into a tribe that is bigger than Wanshou City. It will be just around the corner. This woman is the king of Nuhan who has traveled to the world. This man is the monkey king who rules the world. Vincent finally developed his first piece of iron. He wanted to build it. Become a tribe bigger than Wanshou City. This will be just around the corner. The orcs were also encouraged by Vincent's words. All in high spirits. Energetically rushed to carry the cannon. There was a roar in the woods. Qingqing and Parker are inside the stone castle. I could clearly hear the roaring outside. Bai Qingqing turned her head to look at her suspiciously. What a sound this is. Parker understood as soon as he heard it. This is the group of tiger beasts. It's been howling for a long time. I don't know what excitement is. Bai Qingqing lowered her head and thought. Vincent hasn't been home for 3 days. I don't know if his body can handle it. Have you eaten? When I was thinking about it, the curtain of the door was suddenly lifted open from the outside. Vincent mysteriously walked up to Qingqing. I am back. Bai Qingqing looked at Vincent, although haggard. But he still couldn't hide his happy face. Got up and asked, did Vincent come out of the chain? Vincent smiled at him. Stretched out the hand hidden behind his back. You see. Bai Qingqing's eyes widened in surprise. It was Iron who hurriedly reached out to take it as a result. I didn't expect you guys to actually practice it. This feels very hard. Although it cannot be compared with modern metal. But the texture is already more crystalline than white. It's so much better than I imagined. I just don't know if it's going to be extracted. It broke when it fell. Then you can't use it. So Bai Qingqing raised her hand and asked, can I take a fall? Vincent didn't think about it and replied confidently. Bai Qingqing held the iron block high. If you want to be able to make iron tools, it has to be hardness and toughness. Success or failure is at this rate. Refers to the emptiness with a loud bang. The iron was slammed to the ground, and it didn't break. It's a good piece of iron. When you're bored, the animal on the side suddenly turns into a human form to play with you. What an experience. Bai Qingqing saw that Parker had never had such a dream. Then he turned to Vincent. Vincent shook his head, not dreaming of it. Bai Qingqing lowered her head and thought, perhaps only those who are close can dream of it. So he will. The dreams I had in the past few days told Vincent and Parker. They all doubt that this is possible. Something to do with that Kim necklace. Vincent was going to sleep with the chain for a few days. Parker listened and served with bad intentions. You don't want to be a female. Ha! But the laughter frightened in and on the side. Parker quickly covered his mouth. Bai Qingqing stretched out her hand and took it over. Calculate the time. You should be hungry by now, too. Then, the leopards outside the door ran in happily. They all poked their little heads out, looked at it in her mother's arms. The boss stretched out his little furry paws. I touched my sister's head, straight tail flick in excitement. Bai Qingqing smiled and said, "Are you dancing? It's so bewitching." "Okay, don't touch it." My sister was full and went to sleep. "Go and play." The well-behaved hugs rubbed their mother's little face. He obediently left. Vincent was also ready to go to the iron room. Bai Qingqing said, "You haven't slept all night. Don't go today. Rest at home." Vincent looked down and kissed him on the forehead. "I wasn't sleepy. Sleep again at night." Bai Qingqing knew that she couldn't twist him. I had no choice but to agree. After telling him to be careful, Vincent lifted the curtain and walked out. He went first and picked up the gold and stone necklace outside the castle. Place him on the top floor, which is further away from the bedroom. Then he went to the iron-making room. Bai Qingqing kept coaxing and in to sleep at home. Gradually, I fell asleep. I yawned boredly. He turned his head and asked Parker if he wasn't sleeping. Parker came back, and they hadn't come back yet. "I'm here to watch over it, and I'm not going to be sleepy." So, Bai Qingqing proposed to burn pottery together. Before, I was worried about it, and I haven't had the heart to do this. Parker stepped forward and said, "If you're just trying to create boredom, do I have a better way than to burn pottery?" Bai Qingqing had to smile kindly. I thought it was Parker. Bai Qingqing pinched out Curtis, who was in half-beast form, Vincent in a roaring state, and Parker stir-frying with a spatula. Parker says he has a better way to beat boredom. Bai Qingqing stroked his face and said, "But I want to burn pottery today. I'm not interested in anything else. If you don't accompany me, forget it. I'll go on my own." Parker hurriedly sat up and walked around. "Who said I wouldn't go?" So Parker moved the millstone into the house. The two sat up on the porcelain. Parker gently lifted Qingqing up again, hugged into his arms. He wanted to hold Qingqing like this. Then we slowly do naughty together. Bai Qingqing was helpless, so you can help me turn the grinding plate. The two of them sat together in this way, and the porcelain. Sit quietly with your partner like this. Both of them involuntarily swelled up in their hearts. A sense of well-being. It's a good day when the years are quiet. Bai Qingqing held the finished porcelain in her hand. Parker wondered what shape it was. "It's so special." Bai Qingqing told him that it was a vase. Parker turned his head to look at the porcelain beside him. "So, what are these?" Bai Qingqing smiled kindly, and the shape was a little strange. "The main thing is that I don't know what to do. I just messed up some of it. Or let's just pinch the villain. It's like this." After a while, Curtis in half-beast form, Vincent in a roaring state. Parker, who was stir-frying with a spatula, made it. Parker, who was on the light side, was full of praise. Then he was puzzled. "How do you dress me in magnetic clothes?" Bai Qingqing shook her head. "This is our apron over there." Parker, who specializes in cooking and trying on, was excited. "I'm going to make myself one to wear later." Then his villain was also pinched. It is a white crystal made for the wonderful. In the end, he also made a violent slaughter of little snake, and an inn. They are cautious. Take the naughty to the fire to prevent burning paper. Because the weather is too cold. After putting the porcelain, Parker hugged Bai Qingqing and prepared to go back to the house. Qingqing didn't want to go back. He finally finished his confinement. It's rare to sleep peacefully during the day. He wanted to go somewhere else to play. Parker peed, but he had to agree. "Where do you want to play?" "The stump inside can burn for a long time. Let's take a walk around the tribe." Bai Qingqing decided to go, and see the blacksmith room first. Then go to the cave and look for the little snake. You might find one. Parker is surrounded by a raging fire. After putting the porcelain down, he came to Qingqing's side. Bai Qingqing decided to go and see the blacksmith room first. Then go to the cave and look for the little snake. He ordered us to be held and watched at home, and then put on her coat and went out with Parker. After leaving, Bai Qingqing was still not very relieved about it. Parker offered to call Vincent back to take care of it later. The two of them went to the iron-making room. Vincent agreed as soon as he learned about it. Also instructed Bai Qingqing to play more. Don't rush back. When An woke up, he screamed. Bai Qingqing stood on tiptoe happily. A sweet kiss was printed. You're so good. I'm always at ease with you. The establishment scene behind him is envied. The Tiger King is really a slimming winner. Strong partner and love him. He also gave birth to a Sazai. Vincent's cheeks flushed slightly. Qingqing raised her hand to wipe the sweat from his face for him. Parker just couldn't stand it, pulled Bai Qingqing up and hurried away. Qingqing didn't forget to turn around and wave her hand to Vincent. In fact, Vincent also wanted to hang out with Qingqing. The screen turns. The two of them came to the outskirts of the tribe. Bai Qingqing wanted to go by herself, but it's always stuck in a snowdrift. He looked at the bark to the side. Tell Parker to take him and tie him to his feet. When I looked back, I saw that the leopards had also run over. I thought it must have been Vincent's arrival. The leopard sniffed and came to him. Just tell us to hug us. Pick up the bark and rot tan along the way. The third child is simple and rude. In one bite, he bit off a large piece of bark. It's just that the way this landed was not predicted. Plunged headlong into a snowdrift. Was mercilessly ridiculed by his brothers. In the end, I had to throw myself into my mother's arms. The aggrieved sprinkled coquettishly. Bai Qingqing touched his little head. Comfortingly, it's okay. Don't cry. Mom has to thank you for helping me pick up the bark. The cubs are the most well-behaved. Subsequently, Bai Qingqing tied the bark to her feet with rattan. In this way, the area of insect infestation increases. It can effectively alleviate sinking. He was supported by Parker. Liang stood up in a choked voice. But he was just thinking about not sinking. I didn't expect it to be a bit difficult to walk. Parker was worried too. Or I'll take you with you. This leopard's tail is his sensitive part, and at the moment he is being pinched in his hands. Bai Qingqing has tree bark tied to her feet. With Parker's support, Liang stood up in a choked voice. It shook for a while. I finally found a balance. He turned to the leopard beside him. Would you like to give it a try? It's fun. He looked at Parker again and said, You go and pull a big piece of bark over there. We dragged the cubs along. Parker nodded in agreement. Rushed out with a single lunge. Bai Qingqing couldn't help but marvel. It's so amazing that it's so fast that it's too late to go offline. It's like walking into a martial arts drama scene. Parker's skill is light. Ha came to one of the largest dead trees, raised his hand, and tore his life. He tore off a large piece of bark. Even the rattan from the tree was torn off. Hugged Qingqing together. Bai Qingqing praised Wow. You also prepared rattan. I forgot to tell you. Good thing you remember. Parker smiled confidently. I'm a smart, strong male. I'll run fast. Bai Qingqing touched his head. Hurry up and turn around. Use your tail to sweep the blood off his body. Prevent moisture from penetrating clothing. Looking at Parker's side face, Bai Qingqing thought to herself. Usually Parker sees himself like this. It's an amazing feeling. He stared at Parker's wagging tail. It's so much fun to catch him with a curious handful. Finally got you. Parker, on the other hand, was a wit. A wave of heat hit his cheeks. He turned around and said he wasn't allowed to pinch my tail. Bai Qingqing looked puzzled. I just want to touch it. He suddenly remembered last year. after pinching his tail, inexplicably discordant. Look at Parker's shy face now. Bai Qingqing suddenly realized. It shouldn't be Parker's sensitivity. Parker turned around and picked him up. Say, I know what you mean. Bai Qingqing was suddenly embarrassed. I don't know what this stupid leopard is making up in his own brain. Just listen to Parker continue. You're done with your confinement. Then we can mate. A man digs in a cave. But digging and digging suddenly stretched out a hand. Scared him aback. Parker said to Bai Qingqing, You've done your month. Then we can mate. Just listen to the sound of winter. Bai Qingqing gave Parker a slap in the head. You want to freeze me to death on this snowy day. And there's a kid by the side. Parker had no choice but to give up. Tell Qingqing to let go of her tail. Bai Qingqing let go of her hand with hindsight. Then they told the cubs to go to the bark. Turn them on. My first ski trip in my life. Bai Qingqing turned around and smiled with satisfaction. It seems that the cubs really like it. After sliding for a while, Bai Qingqing sneezed. His hands and feet were all full of cold. Parker immediately took him in his arms. Say, I'll find a place. Build a fire to keep you warm. Bai Qingqing rubbed her little hands. Thought, this must be the range of the little snake's activity. He wanted to find the little snake to live first. Parker touched his hot body. Only then did I reluctantly agree. So the two of them began to look around for the little snake. The leopards hear their mother calling for the baby snake. I was very unhappy. I thought that my mother only called them, and will use such a gentle tone. Who is that little snake? He was so gentle with him. So they went up and hugged her mother's feet. Pounced on him. I don't want him to keep looking. That's when it happened. Parker suddenly made a promotion gesture. I saw a cave in front of me. He was peering inside. Then he turned to the leopards and commanded, I'll check it out first. You protect your mother. A leopard cub buried in the snow with only a small head left. He stretched out his paws in response to his father. Parker walked into the cave and showed off. Bai Qingqing also looked into the cave, but it was pitch black inside. Nothing can be seen. Parker crouched down, smelled a small snake on the ground. He dug down along the scent. But the more I dig, the more I feel wrong. How did the body odor of the little snake become so strong? That's when it happened. Suddenly, a small, white hand came out of the hole. Parker was taken aback. He hurriedly took a few steps back and let out a roar. Bai Qingqing immediately became nervous when she heard this. Not sure what's going on inside. Anxiously changed to Parker. Parker immediately turned around and comforted me. But when he looked back, the hand was gone again. You can believe it. Can a 2-year-old grow up to such a size? Even his mother didn't believe it. Parker only had a turn of his head. The hand I had just seen was suddenly gone. He was puzzled. That hand looks tiny. Males are not possible. But females. It is even more impossible to make such a murderous move. He gritted his teeth. Then you have to dig him out. Thereupon, Parker continued to dig down until it is dug through. He lifted his foot. One jumped over. I only heard the crackling sound of a fight coming from under the cave. After a while, the sound stopped. Parker hugged the struggling snake and walked out of the cave. Bai Qingqing looked at this little back. I wonder if it's a female. What a small one, but he's so aggressive. The little snake heard Bai Qingqing's voice. Immediately turned to look at him. Bai Qingqing was looked at by him like this. Some shrunk their necks uncomfortably. I saw the little snake shouting at him excitedly, Xiao Bai. Then the whole body was dragged out by Parker. Only then did Bai Qingqing see clearly. His snake's tail diameter is exactly the same as Curtis's. Hurriedly born to remind Parker that he is a small snake. Parker was stunned. I looked at it carefully in disbelief. He was then released. This smell is really snaky. A little snake that has regained its freedom immediately slipped back into the cave. Parker wiped his nose, wondered how he had glided so quickly. No wonder the taste is so strong. My nose hurts from the sting. I didn't recognize it. Parker forgot about it in the cave. He seemed to be molting. So Bai Qingqing suggested that Mr. Bai let him warm up. Maybe he'll have more strength to molt. Parker immediately nodded yes, okay. It didn't take a while. I gave birth to poop. Bai Qingqing pondered. I don't know how the little snake suddenly became a human. He was only 2 years old. It should be the appearance of a 2-year-old birthday. Parker didn't know why this was happening. Males are only able to migrate when they reach adulthood. This marks the maturity of the male body. The baby snake is clearly not mature yet. Bai Qingqing sank her face, a look of concern. Parker immediately reassures you not to worry. Both male orcs have a short juvenile period. A small snake as a stray beast. It is normal for 2 years of age to enter adolescence. Or maybe he ate something by mistake. Let him have the ability to transform in advance. There are a lot of things that are mysterious. Like what? The internal meridian of carnivorous Jesho can enhance physical strength. Chlorine in the body of herbivorous recipients is prolonged. Longevity and so on. The boy had just come out of the dirt, was stared at by a group of people. He should keep coming out or go back. Parker continued. There wasn't a fight. The energy in the body will grow. The more intense the war, the more energy grows. Bai Qingqing looked curious. I didn't expect to be able to escalate after being beaten by someone. Parker touched his head. Sometimes often, too. It was rumored which orc had eaten what. Animalistic patterns increase or decrease. It's all the norm. Bai Qingqing was relieved. Think about it. It's actually pretty good, so that he can talk to the little snake. But the leopards on the side were not very happy. Drooping little head. Seeing this, Bai Qingqing immediately touched his head. The boys are also very well behaved. Parker reminded. It seems that he hasn't told Sai about the little snake yet. Bai Qingqing slapped her head after hearing this. I actually forgot to say such an important thing. It's really a dereliction of duty on his part as a mother. So he put the identity of the little snake. I told the boys in detail. Unexpectedly, the leopards became even more angry when they heard this. They thought to themselves, I actually have a bewitching brother who fights for family property. The atmosphere has to go straight to the mouth of the small snake cave, calling for a demonstration downwards. There was a rustling sound from under the cave. It turned out that the little snake's repulsion was finished. He crawled out along the hole, sticking out a small head and looking out. Everyone looked at him in amazement. Only the leopards glared at him with angry expressions. The little snake was disdainful. Unhurriedly, he walked out of the hole. Bai Qingqing was directly stunned. I thought, what a beautiful boy. I didn't dare to confidently call the little snake. The little snake was staring at the leopards beside him. As soon as I heard my mother's voice, immediately happily walked forward. It was Bai Qingqing's face full of excitement after hearing this. I didn't expect it to be him. He reached out and touched his arm. Oh my God, it's so icy. Unfasten your coat immediately. Say sit down and roast the fire. It's cold. After a while, it will be warm when I put on my mother's clothes. Parker disapproved of him, worried that he would catch a cold. Bai Qingqing turned back to Parker and smiled. I have you. If you hold me, I'm not cold. It doesn't matter if you take one off and give it to the little snake. Parker blushed slightly. Only then did he nod his head in agreement. Just a moment after Qingqing undressed, the little snake sat down beside him. In its unseen places, swept all the leopards with their tails. How can the leopard stop? As soon as he got up, he immediately threw himself at him. But the disparity in strength between the two sides is too great. I haven't had time to get close yet. He was swept into the cave by the tail of the little snake. Look at it. The father was going to kill his child. The reason is heart-wrenching. The leopards were swept into the hole by the tail of the snake. At this time, Bai Qingqing also happened to take off her coat. He draped him over the body of the little serpent. The little snake smelled the little white on his clothes. Hold him tight. I can't put it down. After a while, the leopards finally crawled out. But they also understood the strength of the little snake. Don't dare to come forward and provoke again. Only then did Bai Qingqing notice the leopard cub, beckon for knives to slaughter. Why are you running so far? Come on and report that we still haven't moved. Look at the little snake's strange face. The two of them could roughly guess. It should be the little snake who bullied them just now. Parker turned around and yelled at them angrily. Come and sit here. I can't even beat a snake. Is this also hereditary? Then Bai Qingqing held the little snake's hand and asked, how did you transform in advance? Did you eat anything weird or not? There is no discomfort in the body or body. Mom went back and asked the veterinarian. The little snake was held by Qingqing and blushed slightly. But then I thought about it again. I seem to have eaten a strange thing. It was last year that he seemed to have eaten a ball. I thought it was an egg, but after swallowing it, it can't be squeezed out. Occupy his stomach all the time. He couldn't eat for a few days. It's hard to digest it. He's hungry. Ate a very, very large prey. I didn't forget to reach out and gesture. Bai Qingqing laughed loudly. I thought the kid was bragging. Then I heard the little snake continue. My appetite has been so great ever since. It's also growing a lot faster than before. Parker, who was on the side, pushed his head away unhappily. Speak well. Why are you so close? Bai Qingqing had a motherly smile on her face. When I think about it, it seems that the hour does not have a name yet. I'm thinking about what to give him a name. I saw the little snake shake his head. He hadn't figured out what to call it yet. Said to tell Qingqing when he thought about it later. That's when it happened. The boys of the tribe roared. At first glance, it was Vincent's voice. Bai Qingqing immediately stood up. I thought that Anin must have woken up. He also told Little Snake about Anin. I was ready to go back. He took the little snake's hand. Asked him if he wants to go home with him. Little Snake really wanted to go back with them. But I thought of my father. I couldn't help but tremble with fear. Ruthless. He still shook his head and said I won't go back. I'm right here. Bai Qingqing saw his concern. Reassures Curtis that he is hibernating. He won't find out about you. The little snake shook his head firmly no. He'll find out. He's going to kill me. The boy fell in love with his mother because he inherited all the memories of his father. The little snake knew that if he followed Xiaobai back, father will definitely kill him. So he took off his coat. Put Qingqing back on. Bai Qingqing also wanted to persuade him to go back together. The little snake shook his head firmly. I can't really go back. The words are not finished yet. Saw Bai Qingqing kiss his forehead gently. Said since you don't want to go, then I won't force you anymore. We'll see you next time. With that, he turned around and prepared to leave. The little snake suddenly remembered that there was something else. Tell Qingqing to wait a while, and he will go get something. Just listen to salsa a few times. The little snake turned and went into the hole. Bai Qingqing turned her head curiously. I don't know what he'll bring with him. Not for a while. Then he saw the little snake come up with his snake leg in his arms. Saying this, I'll make you clothes to wear. Bai Qingqing hurriedly refused, no, no. This can't be given away casually. Do you know? The little snake looked puzzled. Father Snake Retreat is also for you to wear. Bai Qingqing didn't know how to explain it. I had to say embarrassedly, because your father is my companion. You're still young. Don't tell anyone who you don't know. It's better to bury it. Dig it out when you reach adulthood. But the little snake misunderstood what he meant. Thought that Xiao Bai wanted to make himself an adult. Give it to him again. Immediately blushed slightly and said, I know. Then Bai Qingqing took off her coat again. Clothe the little snake with this garment, and you keep it. Sleep with the cover point. Mom will bring it to you next time. First skirts to come. As soon as I heard him say that he would come back next time, the little snake immediately shook Qingqing's hand excitedly. Then, I won't be dormant, waiting for you right here. That's not going to work. Bai Qingqing patted him on the shoulder and said, You're still going to have to sleep. I won't be coming out anytime soon, and it can't live without me. Then he was picked up by Parker, urging him to go back. He strode towards the tribe with Bai Qingqing in his arms. The leopards also obediently followed. The little snake reluctantly waved at him, chased to the outside of the cave. Bai Qingqing was tickled by Parker. I couldn't help but laugh. I didn't notice anything else. The little snake stood at the mouth of the cave in frustration. He was really reluctant to let Xiao Bai leave. I want to be with him forever. I just hope that Xiao Bai will remember to come early next time. Can the little fox have any bad intentions? It's just that I want to eat someone. Bai Qingqing returned to Shibao after seeing the little snake. He didn't have a coat, shivering in the snow all the way through the cold. I finally got back home. He rubbed his hands coldly. Parker immediately brought him a quilt and covered him. It's going to be warm. Wei Wensin hugged in and over. I wonder why you came back so late. Saw Bai Qingqing only sneezing coldly. I was trembling all over. Anxiously stepped forward and asked Qingqing, What's wrong with you? Is it frozen? Show me. Parker thought he hadn't eaten in so long. I want to cook first. Vincent touched his cold little face, wondering how he froze like this. The coat on his body is gone. Bai Qingqing said truthfully the coat was given to the little snake. I'm fine. He figured Vincent must be worried right now. But I heard it on the side. Suddenly, there was a loud cry. Igis, I'm hungry. Bai Qingqing hurriedly wanted to breastfeed him. But I found out why my hands were so stiff. I don't have any strength at all. It was frozen. Such. In the end, I had to comfort with the help of Vincent. I put my hands on the Kong to warm up. Bai Qingqing couldn't help but think. It's really reassuring to have Vincent here. It's really cold outside. Vincent's warm and cold little hands were a little displeased. Dao knew that it was cold and gave clothes to others. Bai Qingqing could see that he was a little angry. I thought I'd have to change the subject. So he told Vincent about the transformation of the little snake. Vincent was also amazed when he heard this. I didn't expect it to be so fast. You can think of the small body of the little snake. Bai Qingqing couldn't help but feel sad. The little snake can't be like his other children. You can stay by your side. It's really distressing. So he looked up and said to Vincent, So don't talk about me. Do it all over again. I'll still give him the clothes. Vincent sighed helplessly. He took him into his arms and said, I can send it to him next time. Bai Qingqing nodded happily. Suddenly turned his head and saw one. Senna kept shaking his beard. Tail. An evil thought suddenly surged into his heart. I saw Bai Qingqing's small hand hook back. He grabbed his tail in the palm of his hand. I thought, ha. Unexpectedly, Vincent was the same as Parker. Is this a sensitive area that feline orcs have? He also pretended to be innocent and turned his head to ask Vincent, What happened to you? Vincent, however, forcibly returned to Mei Mei. At this time, Qingqing's heart had already blossomed. Thinking about Vincent's stuffy character. It's fun to be funny. The girl hid under the covers, looked at the two men in front of him who were fighting for him. Bai Qingqing's heart has already blossomed. Thinking about Vincent's stuffy character. It's fun to be funny. After playing with the bearded tail for a while, Bai Qingqing found that this would not work. If you keep playing, something will happen. So he quickly let go of his hand. But it's too late. I saw Vincent leaning forward in person. Boldly locked his lips. Bai Qingqing couldn't help but think that Vincent seemed to have changed. It is no longer as humble as it used to be. I'm really happy for him. Not for a while. And in his arms was satisfied. The two hurriedly got up, placed an in next to the bed, and then looked at the two with red and swollen lips, curious to eat and play with your fingers. That's when it happened. Parker, who had prepared the food, just walked in. I also saw this scene. A happy kick slammed into the door. White crystal. Jing was startled by the sudden voice. Go back immediately. Parker lifted the curtain, rushed forward, and yelled at Vincent. He was sick, don't you know? He also bullied him behind my back. Vincent quickly stepped forward to catch the fallen water glass. Put him back in place. Before he spoke, I just did what a partner should do. Then the two of them argued violently. Bai Qingqing had to hide in the quilt in embarrassment. I thought it was my partner. How can there be a kind of shame of being caught stealing? I really want to find a crack in the ground to get into. And Parker's face really stinks. It looks like a coax. Qingqing was then carried to the table by Vincent. He immediately clapped his hands and exclaimed, wow, today's food looks so delicious. Parker looked disdainful. This acting skill is inevitably too fake. Bai Qingqing immediately picked up a large piece of meat, gulping and boasting while eating. Parker saw that he was eating so with relish. Finally smirked. Vincent lulled an end to sleep. Then he was ready to go out to work. Bai Qingqing waved goodbye to him. Parker hoped he never came back. So the two began to fight against each other again. Just when Bai Qingqing didn't know how to persuade her, I saw Vincent turn around and say, for Qingqing's sake, I'm too lazy to bother with you. Bai Qingqing turned her head to look at the back of Vincent leaving, secretly thanking him for his understanding. The girl turned out to have 23 children. Bai Qingqing turned her head to look at the back of Vincent leaving, secretly thanked her for her understanding. Parker said, touching her head, you're eating quickly. Take a nap after eating. When you wake up, you'll see the doll. After Bai Qingqing was full of food and drink, turned around and lay down on the spacious and comfortable bed, hugging it on the side. Sure enough, it's easy to get sleepy after eating. After a while, he fell into a deep sleep. An hour later, he opened his eyes slightly. A bunch of dolls appeared in front of his eyes. He excitedly held it in his hand. Each one is very cute. It's very delicately rounded. Parker didn't know. One appeared behind him. Stroking his head, he asked if he liked it. Bai Qingqing doesn't just like it. I just can't put it down. He's going to put them all at the head of the bed. Parker was entangled in the left side of the station. It's better to stand on the right. Bai Qingqing thought for a moment. Let any of them stand on the outermost. It's going to be unhappy. So he decided to put Vincent and Parker on his side. Curtis on the side stands in the middle. Parker was displeased when he saw this. Why did he stand in the middle? He's too positional. You should stand next to it. Bai Qingqing smiled. It is precisely because of the position in which he stands. That's why he stood in the middle. I was just right in front of him. This is the most harmonious. Parker had no choice but to agree aggrievedly. Naturally, none of the cubs could be left behind. When everything is laid out, Bai Qingqing happily looked at the puppet in front of her. I want to count them carefully. Himself has been for the world. Added 23 lives. Before I knew it, I had already given birth to so many. It's kind of scary. If there are more cubs later. But he saw Parker pick him up, said that the next child must have given birth to me. Okay, but he thought about it again. What if it's life and death again? He didn't want Qingqing. I am experiencing the pain of a last round. Then he shook his head and said no. Forget it. I still don't want children in the future. Bai Qingqing also thought so, but it can't be said so absolutely. Who can guarantee that there will be no accidents for decades to come? Parker waved his hand firmly. It's better not to have one. Your health is more important than anything else. Bai Qingqing smiled with relief after hearing this. I want to be able to reproduce again as a glorious master. Taxi is understood. He was really happy. So, he tapped his toes, kissed Parker on the cheek. Parker was beaten like a chicken. Rushed to find the production doll. The material of the chassis went. Bai Qingqing was amused by him. The tail twisted like an earthworm. Before you know it, a day has passed. Vincent returned to the stone castle after his work. I don't know. The leopard will not trouble itself. When I opened the curtain, I found that they were all asleep. Afterglow out of the corner of the eye. I noticed that there seemed to be something next to the bed. When he took a closer look, only to find out that it turned out to be a puppet of their family. The meditation is so vivid. A neat family. Curtis has finally ended hibernation. He lifted the curtain and walked in. Early the next morning, they took it in together to breathe on the top of the school bag. Bai Qingqing stuck to Vincent on the side. I'm ready to get busy again. Concerned people stepped forward and asked how their work was lately. Is it still going well? Vincent smiled and struck the iron, which went quite smoothly. It just stuck on the design. So, Bai Qingqing proposed to be at home to Dianan. Parker went to help with the design, but I saw Parker's reluctance. Bai Qingqing hurriedly praised him. He must be there. It will definitely make the tribe build iron. Set up to the next level. Parker immediately became excited. Said that he must live up to expectations. That's it. Parker stepped out and joined the iron striking team. Join Vincent as he discusses crafting and designing weapons. The two of them are usually noisy. It's surprisingly consistent in the face of tribal building. Gradually, time passed. It's come to the end of Hanji in a flash. On this day, Bai Qingqing was coaxing an in the house. I only heard Parker shouting loudly outside the door. I have great news for you. I finally do. Created the first full-fledged weapon of the Horde. I saw him incarnate as a beast. The claws are all equipped with sharp gear. Circled around, Bai Qingqing excitedly. Showcase your work. Bai Qingqing was almost fainted by his constant spinning. Reflexively grabbed Parker. Parker immediately stood up, but neglected the weapon on his claws. I almost caught Bai Qingqing. Vincent saw this, hurriedly stepped forward to protect Qingqing. Yelled at Parker, "Do you know what you're doing? You now have iron claws." That's when Parker reacted, immediately frightened, and took a few steps back, thinking of Qingqing's wrist being so thin. If this claw is on Qingqing's hand, he's going to get seriously hurt. He hurriedly transformed into a human form, suddenly stepped forward to worry about Dao Qingqing. Are you okay? Bai Qingqing felt so guilty when she saw him. Persuaded Vincent not to murder him anymore. It's okay to be on your own. He also jumped twice. I thought that the relationship between the two had finally eased. You can't collapse again because of yourself. Vincent then carried him to the bed to rest. Parker picked up the iron claw. Tell Qingqing that there is a mechanism on this iron claw. Sharp fingertips can be retracted, and it's also very easy to wear. Bai Qingqing took it curiously and took a look, but I didn't expect him to be so heavy. Vincent said it was a scripture. A lot of thrashing. Pop all the bubbles inside. Such a piece of iron will be much stronger. So it's heavier. These two are a couple they haven't seen for a long time. How will you interpret Xiao Biexing's newlyweds? Bai Qingqing proposes to hang out as a family. By the way, test the power of the new weapon. So Parker quickly summoned the gear. Vincent, on the other hand, took care to bring him a coat. You can think of a family going out to play. Bai Qingqing couldn't help but sink her face. I thought it would be nice if Curtis was here. In this way, it can be regarded as a real family going out to play. That's when it happened. I saw a violent movement under the stone slab. Bai Qingqing almost fell to the ground. When the vibration stops, Bai Qingqing is indispensable. The letter saw a man open the curtain and walk in. He immediately rushed forward excitedly. One threw himself into Curtis's arms. "You're finally awake, and I really miss you." Curtis looked at the man in his arms dotingly. "I miss you too." The two hugged like glue for a long time. There was a look of happiness on his face. Then Bai Qingqing pulled him to the edge of the bed and sat down. "I wonder where he hibernates." "Probably under this bedroom?" Curtis nodded at him. The two chatted like no one. Parker behind him gritted his teeth angrily. I thought that Curtis would grab Qingqing with him as soon as he returned. Vincent patted him, persuaded that they were partners they hadn't seen in a long time. It's normal to express your thoughts. Let them reminisce. So Parker had to endure it on the sidelines. Suggest yourself not to be angry. Bai Qingqing asked curiously. "Where exactly did you sleep?" Curtis stretched his tail. He pointed to the underside of the stone slab at the head of his bed. Bai Qingqing looked puzzled. "Why did you choose there?" Curtis whispered back to his face. "Because this is the closest to you." Seeing him so close. "I haven't seen you for too long." Bai Qingqing was a little uncomfortable. I coughed nervously and lay down twice. The bedroom is just 3 stone slabs. Your location is quite close to the Kong. We burn a fire in the ground every day. Do you feel hilarious? Curtis shook his head. Didn't feel hot. Just felt a little dry. Let's talk about it. He stroked Qingqing's little face with a finger. Bai Qingqing suddenly realized. Pointing to his lips, he said, "No wonder your lips look so dry." But his face turned red honestly. He immediately got up in embarrassment, ran to the side and said, "I'll go and pour you a glass of water to drink." Curtis looked at his back. I couldn't help but chuckle twice. I thought he was still so cute. Bai Qingqing poured water on one side. He breathed a sigh of relief. I thought to myself that he was lucky not to bring the little snake back. Such a close distance. Commodore Curtis will find out. After a while, he came over with a glass of water. Was taken into his arms by Curtis. The man stretched out a sharp insistence. It's about to be the hunt. Curtis took Bai Qingqing into his arms. I saw him say affectionately for me. Bai Qingqing's little face was immediately dyed red. Rosy clouds. He hurriedly turned his face away and said, "You let me down first." It's embarrassing. But Curtis was willing to let go. I saw Bai Qingqing handing out the water cup in her hand. Pour it into his mouth. Then you can drink it. But that's not what Curtis says about the stomach. Bai Qingqing had to push him in embarrassment. He said, "Curtis, have you slept too long and are suffocating? There's someone watching from behind. Stop it." At this time, Parker was snatching back and forth. My heart is already broken, and I can't help it. Front. The sharp iron teeth were constantly grinding and piercing on the ground. Zizi sounded Bai Qingqing uncomfortable, covering his ears and yelling at Parker. "What are you doing? I know I'm most afraid of this kind of sound." Parker heard Qingqing call himself. Hurriedly turned around. Bai Qingqing saw him raise his hand. Remind him to be careful not to hurt himself. Parker scratched his head and said, "I'm just tickling." But I saw that Qingqing cared about herself. The mood suddenly became a lot happier. He scratched. Suddenly, I couldn't help but sneeze. I saw the hairs flying down the sky. It must have been scraped off by the iron claw just now. Bai Qingqing almost didn't hold back her laughter when she saw the picture. Quickly covered his mouth and said with concern, "I didn't hurt myself. Don't worry, I'll show you." With that, he came behind Parker. The scene in front of him made him tighten suddenly. I saw the Parker Terrier. A large piece of hair has been shaved off. I can't bear to look at it directly. Bai Qingqing had to regretfully compare with her hands. "It's a shame you're bald. It's such a big bald piece." Parker fell to the ground with a thud. Flood of tears. I want to die for a while. Is it so ugly and faceless to see Qingqing? Bai Qingqing hurriedly stepped forward and comforted her, saying that it was okay. Why don't I fix it for you? This can be trimmed into a pot lid. It's very popular in our country. Parker looked skeptical. Bai Qingqing had to show her cuteness, really. Lie to you is a puppy. So he succeeded in convincing Parker. Bai Qingqing thought to herself that it was so ugly anyway. A dead horse is a live horse. He took the iron claw. But this one is too heavy to operate at all. It's also easy to injure Parker by mistake. So he handed the iron claw to Vincent. Ask Vincent to hang with him. That's when it happened. I saw Curtis on the side, snapping his fingers. Say I'm coming. Bai Qingqing trampled on a look of rage. Sympathetically looked at Parker. I thought that Curdy was wanton and unhappy. It's entirely possible to just click off Parker's head. So he patted Parker and said, hold on. Parker was in a hurry when he heard this. Are you sure you don't stop him? I saw Kitty stretch out his sharp fingers. It's about to be the hunt. This man is like a fish on a chopping board to be slaughtered. But the result was unexpected. Curtis is about to give Parker a haircut. Parker fingered his hands folded. Pray that this little life will not be lost. Bai Qingqing stepped forward to teach Curtis where to hang. Parker then turned back to the two. Otherwise, I'd better forget it. Curtis couldn't have missed such a good opportunity. He reached out and pressed Parker. After listening to Bai Qingqing's explanation, he stretched out his sharp fingers. Pressed down on a shivering Parker. Tell him not to move. Otherwise, there is no guarantee for turning off the head or hair. I saw him raise his hand and brush it gently. It is easy to shave off a lot of hair. After a while, Curtis said it was fixed. Bai Qingqing hurriedly stepped forward to check. Parker covered his face in embarrassment. I thought to myself, though, I didn't have a life. But I must be ugly now. Who knew that? Bai Qingqing exclaimed, wow. The handsome Parker suddenly turned around. The general asked suspiciously whether it was true. Bai Qingqing hurriedly nodded yes. I think it's very beautiful. Parker picked up a strand of hair and looked at it. Fortunately, my hair is not green. Otherwise, it's like a nest of grass. Is it really nice to have such a little hair? Bai Qingqing hurried. He pulled out the small mirror in his bag. Let Parker look at you. Isn't it not bad? Obviously, I just changed my hairstyle. But it feels like you're getting cooler. I also have a lot of spirit. As soon as I heard this, Parker snorted triumphantly. Seeing this, the leopards also gathered around. They all rushed to get the same hairstyle as their father. Parker slapped them away mercilessly. While playing, when you grow up, call you the maid of the substitute. Bai Qingqing picked up the aggrieved leopard cub on the side. Comfortingly, it's okay. If we don't make a fuss, we should go out. Turning to Curtis to the side, he asked Curtis, you're just out of hibernation. Or just wait for food at home. Curtis shook his head no. That would be great. Bai Qingqing thought to herself. It's finally time for the whole family. Turn around and ask Parker to take his iron claws. The time has come to show his majestic figure. Today's food is all up to Parker. Parker listened. Immediately, excitedly agreed. Then the family packed up and set off. Parker shouted excitedly at them. You're too slow, aren't you? Keep up with this haircut since you got this haircut. Parker suddenly felt a lot more vigorous. Pay attention to this baby. Held in the arms of a giant python that had been hungry for months. He seemed very excited. Since cutting this hairstyle, Parker suddenly felt a lot more vigorous. Bai Qingqing wanted to rush out and run with Parker. Was stopped by Curtis. Persuade him not to go crazy with fools. It is easy to be mistracked. So Bai Qingqing smiled. Decided to just watch Parker from behind. But when he looked at Parker from behind, I couldn't help but laugh. This pot-lid head, how like a matchstick growing on a stick. At this point, Parker turned his head and wondered about Qingqing. Are you calling me? What's wrong? Bai Qingqing hurriedly waved her hand. There's nothing to compliment you on how beautiful your new hairstyle is. You keep playing. I slowly breathed a sigh of relief in my heart. There is nothing more joyful than sorrow. I thought about it for Parker's physical and mental health. It's better to tell a white lie yourself. This is probably the blessing of fools. It's good to let him be so happy. And then on the side stretched out his hand. Yawn. Wake up slowly. Bai Qingqing stepped forward. I'm worried if he'll wake up from freezing. Turning his head, he thought of Tis and said Tis again. You haven't seen him in months. Why don't you hug it? Curtis nodded, stretched out his hand, and took it over, and then looked at the beautiful father in front of him. Excited, she stared at him with wide eyes and stretched out her hand. Curtis couldn't help but praise Anin for becoming pretty. Vincent hugged Bai Qingqing. Reminder that it's cold outside. Don't let Anin put her hand out. So Curtis wrapped him tightly. It's quite mummy. The family walked forward with a smile and a smile. Parker opened the way ahead. A breeze blows. Bai Qingqing couldn't help but think. The breeze that has been moistened by hemolysis is sweet. It's so comfortable. The view around is also nice. Just as he was thinking about it, he saw Vincent suddenly stop. Bai Qingqing turned her head and wondered what was wrong. Vincent let out a low roar of warning. Say that there is an enemy ahead. Bai Qingqing suddenly looked forward in surprise. After only a sparse sound, several wild wolves appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Apparently they were taken as prey. Parker chuckled disdainfully. Foraging does not look at the object. I saw him leap up one by one. He pounced on the wolves. With the help of Iron Claw, he quickly twisted a wild wolf with a single punch. There was a sand glow in his eyes. This was followed by a few more punches. The wolves haven't had a chance yet. Was directly sent out. There was a scream. Bai Qingqing looked at the scene in front of her, thinking about what Parker looks like. In a trance, I remembered the moment when I first arrived at the beast market. At that time, Parker's killing was a raw bite. Bite your opponent to death. Brutal as a true beast. And now it's clean. It harvests the lives of wild wolves like machines. The combat attitude is the same. The difference is that Parker is more powerful. He seemed to keep all the wolves in check. They just have to wait quietly for the end. But when he turned his head and skimmed into Curtis on the side, I couldn't help but shudder.